Just a little perspective on this storm. You can see it behind me on satellite and radar. As mentioned, it's enormous. It's really bringing widespread impacts to millions of people across the country. Let's take a look at the map here, and you'll see that hodgepodge of precipitation from rain in the south to some icing happening as you go through parts of the mid-Atlantic, and then the straight up snowfall we've been watching as well. I want to show you one of my absolute favorite maps. The reason I say that is because this is the current snow depth map, and it quite literally shows you how much snow is left on the ground after an event, or even after any melting has occurred. That melting not happening yet. You can see that massive stripe of magenta there on the screen for cities like St. Louis, even as you're heading down towards Cincy. That's where we have more than a foot of snow on the ground. In fact, I took a look at some of the numbers and check out what we've seen here from Kansas to Missouri, West Virginia, to the panhandle of Maryland, all the way to Racine, Ohio. We've seen double-digit snowfall. St. George, Kansas taking the cake here at 18 inches of snow out of this storm. That's significant, my friends. Now, as for us, there's not going to be 18 inches of snow. There's not going to be an inch of snow. I mean, we really are losing out on this storm, if you will, because it's going to pass to our south. And while our friends around us are getting some flakes, you know, we might see a couple of flurries, but that's just about it. This is what we're looking at on Futurecast here. This storm passing to our south. And even if it's scooted just the littlest bit north, I think it's going to be tough to get snow on the ground. Not necessarily falling, just sticking, because the air is so darn dry that anything that falls will essentially evaporate before it reaches us here on the surface level. That said, I do think we could catch a couple flurries today, and that's just about it. So keep that in mind. We're calling it aesthetic beyond anything else. Current conditions is all about the cold. Really not just today, but as we move through this week. It's 23 in Providence, which is really not far from where we should be, to be perfectly frank. However, it's what it feels like that's bringing more of the issue. It feels like it's 15 degrees in Providence right now. It feels like it's 12 degrees in Smithfield, and it feels like, woof, 4 degrees in Worcester right now. Sorry, Worcester, you're down to single digits at this point. 17 in Newport and 14 in New Bedford. Later today, temperatures, they're going to be in the 30s, but this is another one of those days where I'm just going to say it plain and simple. These numbers don't really matter. I know people like to see them, and I don't want to get hate mail, so I'm going to show you the high temperatures in the low 30s, but it will feel like it's between 25 and 30 degrees for most of your day. Dress for the 20s, even though the temperatures start with a 3. Over the next couple of days, they'll start with a 2. You'll notice we're in the upper 20s the next few days. After this storm leaves, we switch our wind flow from the northwest, and that's going to help bring in even colder air settling into southern New England. It takes until the end of the week to get back to the 30s, and in doing so, we get back toward the average high temperature of 39 degrees. However, that warmer air comes with a potential price. I'm keeping a very close eye on our next potential storm, which looks like it could arrive late Saturday night and stick with us into Sunday morning. That storm could bring us some snow. However, it's a situation very similar to the one we're dealing with now, in that it could slide to our south. At this point, those chances are still very up in the air. So stick with us here on ABC6, and of course, we'll have more on this forecast throughout the week.